Welcome to Inside Style. I am your host, George Worrell, and we are still in Women's History Month, and I've had the pleasure of interviewing and talking to some extraordinary women. Today, we are making history in Northern Virginia with Mayor Alyia Gaskins, the first Black woman mayor of Alexandria, Virginia, here to talk to us about her amazing journey. We met maybe like 2 or 3 years ago at an Alexandria event, and you were the council member at that time. And I started talking to you about businesses, and you knew every business in Alexandria and in that area that we should go to. And I have been a fan and lover of your work ever since. Thank you so much for coming to Inside Style. How are you today in your beautiful orange dress?
I am well, and I am really excited to be here. I thank you so much for the invitation.
Yeah, I'm inspired by your journey. You're from Pittsburgh originally.
Yes.
Tell us how you decided to get to this area in the DMV.
Yes. So I was raised in Pittsburgh by my mom, Francine, with a lot of help from my grandma and neighbors and church members. My mom always worked 2, sometimes 3 jobs throughout my life. But the truth is, no matter how hard my mom worked, we always struggled to make ends meet. My mom also has asthma, diabetes, sarcoidosis, and a number of other health issues. And so I constantly was watching this struggle of how when you don't have enough money to afford healthy food, how that impacts your diabetes. And when you're struggling to pay the rent, how that impacts your mental health or your ability to afford your medications. And so I decided that first, I thought I wanted to be a doctor because I was like, that's how I'm going to help my mom and other women like her be as healthy as possible. I ultimately ended up changing and shifting to focus on public health, recognizing that I wanted to focus more on the systems that impact how people are healthy in the first place. And so that's what led me to the DMV. I came down for a job at an anti-hunger organization, DC Hunger Solutions, where I was really focused on how do we ensure that every child in our area has access to nutritious food? How are we thinking about grocery stores, farmers markets, all of these other programs and supports for our young people? And when I was looking for a place to live with my then boyfriend, now husband, we decided to find a place in Alexandria. And so came here to work on policy and address the issues that impacted my life growing up.
And that journey took you just through integrating Alexandria and seeing opportunities. What were those opportunities that you saw that were for you, or an opportunity that you made for yourself?
So I'd say one of the things I was always taught is, where you live, that is your home. And you got to serve and you got to get involved. And so from the minute we moved to the area, I started volunteering at places like Carpenter's Shelter and Alive. And I realized that the same issues that I saw in Pittsburgh existed in Alexandria. And so I'd say the opportunities that were easy to get in, that were for me, were volunteering and just finding a way to give back. I don't think I initially thought about running for office right away. I served on a couple boards and commissions. I tried to engage in other activities. So I guess if I had to think of the path that I made for me, it was recognizing that I had something to offer as an elected official, and sort of stepping in and throwing my name in the hat was not something anybody in my family or in my networks had ever done. And so figuring out how to do that while also, my first campaign was during COVID, while also figuring out how to meet people and get my name out there, get my vision out there in the middle of a pandemic.
And even without the pandemic, were there any thoughts? 1, I'm a woman. 2, I'm a woman of color. The theme that I've been hearing from the women and throughout my career life, that they didn't think of that. It empowered them. How did you feel about that? Was that an issue in your mind to say, if this happens, just beginning at the council level, what were those thoughts about your makeup of who you are going for this election?
I'd say in that first race, the question that went through my head over and over was, am I ready? And I am lucky and blessed to have a very strong support system in my husband, my family, and friends who, when I would ask that question, they said, "You're more ready than you ever know. Then you've got to be kidding yourself." I'd say when I decided to run for mayor and recognizing the historic and momentous opportunity of being the first Black female mayor, that is when more, I think, those questions around race, gender, age, all of those things came up a lot more in that race than they did in my council race.
How were you able to handle them? Was there a strategy, or did you handle them as they come? Because why I bring this up is that as African Americans, as for you, a woman, this is daily, hourly, weekly.
Yes.
We talked about that with Angie Ange, who was on before, being a woman and being a woman of color, like these boundaries that you see. What was the recipe? How did you handle going forward and as they came?
I think there was a shift throughout the campaign. So when we first started, I didn't talk about it as much because I think there were people around me who said, "Well, I don't want to hear about that. That's not why I'm voting for her." And at first I channeled that and said, okay, well then maybe I shouldn't talk about it either. As the race moved forward, I thought to myself, I'm not going to diminish a piece of who I am. I am a Black woman and I am proud of that. That is my superpower and that's part of the perspective that I bring. And so anytime I stepped into a conversation, I would frame it as, I need you to know my full identity. I need you to know every piece of me, from the Pittsburgher and those experiences to how I navigate the world as a Black woman, to what this moment means to me and what I understand about our issues because of the time that I have spent with Black people in the city of Alexandria. And so it became a big change for me from moving from not really talking about it to figuring out how I talk about it as from a place of power, not from a place of here's a barrier or a challenge I have to overcome.
Do you think one of the strong suits aside from that, which is an attribute, is that you're very business focused? And I've been around a lot of candidates, not that they're not, but you knew every small business. And when we did a couple episodes of Neighborhood Favorites in Alexandria, your name would always come up. And as a supporter of small businesses, why did you know that that's something that you needed to focus on?
So it's funny. I would say I don't know that I was business focused. I was people focused. I love meeting new people and I love hearing their stories. And so for me, it started with the person behind those businesses. I wanted to know sort of their creativity, their passion, their dream, how they came up with this idea in the first place. And what I love about our small businesses is I truly feel like when you know that story, when you step into their business, it's an experience that has been created just for you. And so I ended up connecting with so many business owners because they had so many cool things to say, to the point where now I find myself when I need a new dress for an event, when I need help producing something, when I'm thinking of new content, I want to just pop in some of our small businesses because I want to brainstorm with them. I want to ideate with them. I want to understand how they're thinking about issues so I can bring some of that knowledge in. And then it was through that work that I realized that at the end of the day, if we are not creating spaces for those entrepreneurs to thrive, then we will have a city that won't thrive. And so I have to be focused on those people so that they can build the best business they can build so that we can have a thriving economy.
I love Alexandria, and this is a national show.
Yes.
People who are listening, they think I'm going to the nation's capital. Why would we say, hey, have you thought about coming to Alexandria?
Yes. You should think about coming to Alexandria because we are not the nation's capital and we don't try to be. It is great that we are in the DMV and we're so lucky to be in this region. But when you step into Alexandria, it is a completely different feel. From what I mentioned about our businesses, you're going to get an experience unlike anywhere else in this country. I mean, even this spring, they're having a Bloom Together event in Old Town where different boutiques are putting together these shopping experiences, all focused focused on your spring wardrobe or your spring decor, and they will literally customize it just for what you are looking for. You don't find that elsewhere. I'd say when you walk down our streets, it's like you've stepped back in time. The pace,
especially King Street, like, so you can walk from the metro, King Street Metro, all the way down to the waterfront.
All the way down to the water.
Have lunch, shop, get your bicycle fixed.
Yes, you might hear live music. You've got places to eat. You're going to bump in. The streets are small enough that you're going to bump into new people and just automatically build connections. You can ride the trolley if you don't want to. If you don't want to walk down the street. And so, where else can you find those experiences? We are a very safe community, a fun community, a welcoming community. So, I would say, come experience it for yourself.
Experience it, yeah. So, I talk. Most of my friends are women and women with families, and it's always been that way. And I'm always enamored at how, even starting with my mother, that you are able to juggle, to be a mother, be a wife, be a leader, be a mayor, be a council member. And I know, as a person, and not let it show, not let it like, oh, I'm so stressed. How are you able, what are some of the tools that people listening out there that you use for yourself to departmentalize or whatever it is that you do so that you're showing up for your kids, you're showing up for your relationship with your husband, for the constituents? How are you able to do that on a daily basis?
So I'd say first is just framing my mindset. I have to give myself grace every single day because there are probably times when I'm the best mayor, and that means that I'm missing bedtime because I'm at a community event. Or there are times when I'm the best mom I can be, and it probably means I haven't responded to a constituent email. And so I have to give myself grace that that is okay, that I am doing the best I can in every moment that I can. I'd say the second is really working on my calendar. I sit down and, I think in January, my husband and I blocked off date night from now until December. So that might be a lot of extra planning, but it's because we've said this is a priority, our relationship is a priority, and there has to be time for that. And so my aide knows, she's like, oh, I see date night. And she says no to events that are on that night.
And she's good. Shout out to her. She's good.
Shout out to Christine.
Shout out to Christine. Christine is,
Yes, but every one of my children's hockey games, tumbling, all of those things are on there. I'd say the third thing is really trying to work on, in the past, I've always tried to compartmentalize. So here's work, here's this, here's that. My life can't work like that anymore. And so my kids come to events with me. They come to City Hall. They have a whole corner of toys and things to play with. They come to community festivals. They know about giving speeches. They know how to be a part of it because I don't want to miss those moments with them, but I also need them to see that mommy's doing something really, really important.
What do you do for yourself? What do you do to nurture you? Just for Alyia Gaskins, what do you do for yourself?
So two things. It sounds probably really simple. I love a good nap. A nap is a recharge, and some days that is just like my sanctuary space to get on my cozy couch, put on a big weighted blanket, and just go to sleep and like let my mind reset. I'd say the second, I love facials. It's just, I don't know, it's my like self-care thing, and so every few months that's my treat and my investment in myself. I'd say on a daily basis I've tried to work on building in time just to go for a walk, sometimes just reset, pray, and be out in nature.
The times that I've been with you, I see you writing a lot. Is it in a journal, or I see you making notes and stuff like that. Is that part of your...
So the funny thing is I'm often writing down little prayers. Like before I speak or before I do something big, I'm usually, like most people, I'm still nervous, even if it's something I might be good at. And so I'm constantly writing down things like, Lord, help me find the words. Or when I speak in this moment, I'm not sure what I should say, but I know you know. And so I'm usually writing down little notes to myself to encourage and support myself to keep going.
How has your faith played a part in your career and your daily being? I want to hear what you have to say about faith.
So first and foremost, I was always taught that we are God's hands, we are his feet, and we have a role to do work in this world. And so I'd say first, it's probably the heart of why I serve, that when I see problems, I don't have to solve every problem by myself. I can't, but I sure need to be doing something. There is something I can do, even if it feels really small. So I think it pushes me to keep going, even on the days when I'm like, I'm done with this. I'd say the second is just sort of this belief in what else can be possible. I think we are facing so many unexpected and unprecedented challenges, and it is easy to feel like there is nothing I can do. Everything is falling apart. And I think my faith reminds me that better has to be. Like tomorrow has to be better. And if not tomorrow, maybe the next tomorrow. I just have to keep going. And I think it gives me a joy that sometimes is unexplainable in the worst moments.
And that it's something that's so personal. I know for me, faith is something that it's so personal in the best and the worst of times that I can call on it.
Yes.
And it be there maybe when moms can't answer the phone or a friend can't answer the phone, that quick prayer or that chat.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Takes me to that next level. And I really honestly don't think I would be where I am without it.
I feel the same.
Do you know what I mean? On the daily basis, like the things that have happened in my life, I always say happened for me, that would have killed other people who have lost their minds, and we're still here.
Yes.
Do you feel that way?
I do, deeply. And it's interesting because when you're in those moments, you don't. You're like, excuse me, what is going on and why is this happening? But I even think back to my childhood. Given my mom's health issues, at a really young age, the first thing I learned was how to call 911. But then I also learned how to be calm in a moment where I need to explain what's going on, even though I'm 3 or 4 years old. I know how to open the door. I know how to get my mom's medications. I know what to tell the paramedics. I know where to wait. And in those moments, I'm terrified. And in those moments, I also couldn't understand why other kids don't deal with what I deal with. But I now know from those experiences, I have learned to be really calm under pressure. I've learned how to figure out how to put together a plan. I've learned how to communicate in a way that is succinct and effective, and figure out what are the key pieces of information that people need and how do we keep going. And I couldn't have pinpointed that as a child, but I know now that experience was supposed to happen in some ways in order to teach me how to be the leader that I am today.
The leader and the strength. It takes strength. So in your day-to-day, like running a major city, how are you able to go from how we're talking calmly, right, to really having to deal with a situation that has to be handled? Is there a side of you that's, do you know what I mean? Like everybody has that side that, you know, I always say there's George and then there's Bayshawn.
Oh. I don't know that the other Alyia has a name yet.
Okay.
But there has to be. Because, I mean, what I tell people is I'm here to get things done. The same problems that we have seen for decades, nobody wants them solved more than the people facing those problems. And they don't have another day to wait. So if we are not moving with urgency, then I'm not really sure why we're in the places that we're in. And so I try and give people the same grace and respect that I want given to me. But when things aren't moving, there's definitely a shift. And people know when the shift has come and when my patience has reached probably the last point. And I think sometimes you have to be there. And part of being a leader, I think, is recognizing what is the situation, what needs to be done, and then what are the tools that you need to deploy. That might be the tone of your voice. That might be how you communicate. That might be who else you bring in to be a part of messaging what needs to be done. It might be the things you do yourself or the things you delegate to somebody else. But I think it's knowing when and how to make those switches in order to get the outcome you want.
Do you think it's different for a woman?
I do. I do. I think what I have sometimes found myself playing in my head is I know what I'm about to say. And then my mind stops for a second on, okay, how's this going to be received? Is this going to come across as she's the angry, impatient black woman? Is this like, what are you
thinking? So let's talk about that just for a second, like, because I don't know, why is it that if a man can say something, right? And we're talking about women, and you're a black woman.
Yes.
Why is it that black women have been charged with having to say something? It's angry. The angry black woman. Like we saw for the Oscars. I forgot the Oscar winner. I forgot her name. But security pushed her, and she addressed it. But in some of the social media, she was angry. So if a man was pushed and he said something, it's okay. But she wasn't supposed to say something. So how are you able, and what can we talk about that double standard?
Yeah, I think what I have experienced is it is easy sometimes for people to forget that we are human too. And everyone wants to put on a label or a perspective about how we are supposed to show up, how we are supposed to act, what our voice is supposed to appear like, all of those things. Much of that goes way beyond what we have time for in this conversation and is rooted in structural racism and history about how black women are perceived in this country and abroad. I'd say that the way I am learning to handle it or be in those spaces is that I always have to be me. I am 100% me all of the time. And that's just who I am, and I can't apologize for that. And so if you receive it as anger, then
Has nothing to do with me.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I receive it as I needed to communicate something to you. And that what I would hope you know is that in every interaction, my heart has been clear, my intention has been clear, and the outcome I'm trying to get to has been clear. And so we should work on towards that. I'm also getting a lot better at, I would say in the beginning in this role, I probably would have a conversation and I'd play it in my mind 1,000 times and I'd let it go. I'm getting a lot better at following up with people and saying, you know, this is what I took away from that. I need to make sure that we're on the same page here, and trying to be very clear that maybe somebody didn't perceive it that way, but my mind thought they did.
So as we wind up, I love your style of fashion, and that you love bold colors. How do you are able to go through your closet and say, okay, I'm the mayor, but I'm a mom, date night.
Yes.
How are you able to, budgets, having things, looking when I wore this and where I'm going to wear it again, because now you are a public figure, you're being photographed. Do you think about all of those things? Or is it important?
I do think about it more than I ever have. I think it's important from just how I want to be, how I want to show up in the world. I enjoy wearing heels. I enjoy wearing bright colors. There are things that make me happy too. So it's important for just how I want to have joy as I'm walking and moving throughout my city. It's also important for function. I might be going from a meeting to a hockey practice to another event to all of these things as I navigate family and work life. In terms of how I am managing it, and I'm going to give a shout out, but I love Mint Condition in Old Town.
Okay.
They are a consignment shop.
Yeah.
I love the fact that I can go, I like wearing new things and different things. At the same time, being mayor is part-time and has a part-time salary. So I cannot be out here just buying all different things for galas and so forth. So I love to go in, find a lot of great new pieces, bring them home, and then I can consign and get something different. And so it's a great way for me to make sure that my wardrobe has a lot of fun pieces, and I get to support a local business.
Wow, that's cool. So, that you can consign it back and get your that's very smart. So as we wind up, what advice would you give to someone thinking about public service on any level, whether if it's through office or volunteering? What would that little girl who is in the car listening, and we're talking to the mayor, the first African-American woman of Alexandria, what advice would you impart in that little girl?
First, I would tell her, I'm so glad that you were thinking about it, because that's exactly what this world needs right now. Second, I would say that there is no special age or special training that you have to go through in order to do this. I get cards from kindergartners saying, I wish you would pick up the trash in the park, or I'd love to see us do more for Earth Day. And so if you have an idea, that's the idea your community needs, and the first thing is just using your voice to say it. And I would tell them to to find ways to practice. If you're a young person, that can be as easy as sending a few sentences to the council. If you're a little older, it might be coming to a council meeting and speaking at a public hearing. But put yourself out there and start finding the comfort in your own voice, because once you do run, there's going to be a lot of people who either want to silence that voice or attack that voice. So the more comfortable you can be, the better. And then I would say, when you are of age, when you turn 18, go ahead and run. Go ahead and run. That might be a board or commission. It might be, there are different forms of government. I know in DC they have ANCs. We don't have that in Alexandria, but there might be other things to run for. There might be clubs in high school or in college. Put yourself out there and practice putting together a campaign. And then surround yourself with people who believe in you, are going to encourage you, and go ahead and go for it.
And vote.
Yes, and vote. Yes. You got to vote for yourself, but start voting for others too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. I want you to come back.
I would love to. This is a lot of
and
fun.
let's chat. Oh, and bring the hubby.
I will.
Yeah, and we'll chat about some other things. And
my kids would love to come. I'm doing.
Please.
I'm doing these daily videos,
Okay.
and my son likes to be in almost every video.
Well, so maybe we can do something this summer too, because we're going to have youth come in and talk. So, but I'll let you know,
Okay.
and maybe we can be junior hosts.
That'd be great.
That would be great.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Mayor Gaskin, for sharing your story and your leadership. I just see all things good for your leadership. And the things that are coming for you. Thank you again for coming in. And thank you for listening out there and tuning into Inside Style. Please remember to tune into my show Neighborhood Favorites, which is on WHUT PBS. And remember, real style starts with being comfortable in your own skin. We'll see you next time. I'm George Worrell.